Everyone, it is the Prophet Michael David, aka Aries, and tonight we're doing a later night video and everything. Just because I've been unfortunately watching YouTube all day again and watching the different clips of the war. But then some other stuff came up, and I sometimes say that I'm commanded to do this or compelled. I mean, I have free will, but it's just, especially at this time in history with where the world's changing every day, it behooves me when I see something important to put together a video, even if it's short and eclectic, which this one will be, at least eclectic. All right, first things first. To be totally honest, I have not bought my billboard space yet. I haven't even talked to the people, although I did look it up. I know exactly which one that I want to get, but like I said in my last video, I also had to triple check my work and everything. So I thought I'd do you guys a solid too if any of you at all are trying to work on it. Okay, basically, yeah, you might be able to figure everything out, but you can at least use those numbers to double check your work if you get all the way to the end. It's a big calc, but if you get all the way through it, those are the numbers you should have at the end. As I said in my last video, that is the worst possible option that can happen. All that's going to happen is all the hostages are going to die. A bunch of more other people are going to die, including Israelis and Palestinians, including civilians. And in the end, it could have all been averted if you just took the deal and got your hostages back and started talking. And as if you needed another excuse to stop fighting, um, according to that gentleman, and he seems pretty honest, uh, roughly just under half of all the deaths have been children, or a third of them, and the ratio is only going to go higher. And those are things that you will not be able to explain away in the afterlife. That's why all those people are wailing in front of Azrael, because they got to go through all those people's lives. I'll explain more in the future, but yeah, it's a judgment thing. All right, and now the Mahdi stuff, because it's the title of this video. So I mentioned this guy before. Again, disclaimer, I don't know who this guy is. Like I said, I speculated that he could be Iranian Shiite, but I don't know for sure. He could be a Sunni too, but he seems very knowledgeable about all three of the Abrahamic religions. And why it seems so interesting to me is he talks about the Mahdi exactly how I've been talking about myself to you guys for since April 5th. So that video is really, really good about the Mahdi. Again, he's made more than a few of them, and you can see his whole take on it is that the Mahdi will have to be named Israel in some way. Also, I would like to point out and how it's described in that short is that the Mahdi has to be or is purported to be a son of Israel, or the original Israel, which is Jacob, whenever anyone's referring to that, because no one considered Moshe an Israel but me. And I did not know that the Prophet Muhammad also called himself Israel, which makes sense, although I don't know if I've ever heard any stories about the Prophet Muhammad talking directly to Allah, only to Jibril, aka Gabriel. I don't know everything about Muhammad. I don't know everything about all prophets, just a lot about a lot. All right, that screenshot is a little bit different. That's about a concept called the suffering servant. It's viewed differently by Christians, Jews, and Muslims, but in the end, the whole thing about it that and the suffering servant is supposed to represent the Mahdi, the Mashiach, the Messiah, but even more so, the suffering servant is supposed to be like Job 2.0. He didn't do anything wrong. He was just punished by God or the fates, but he just, he never lost his faith in God, which is not exactly what happened to me, but nevertheless. Right, now finally, before I sign off here, we're going to go over blessings one more time, just from all the stuff I've shown you, from my own stuff or his or my math stuff or what's going on in the world right now, um, about all these theories about where the Mahdi, the Mashiach, the Messiah is going to come from. Um, we're going to go over the blessings between Judah and Joseph again in Genesis, and I'll let you guys kind of decide, although I will do some commentary again. As I've detailed before, those are the blessings of Jacob, the first Israel, in chapter 49 of Genesis in the Bible. And as you can see, they start off pretty good, and saying that they'll be king right up until the middle, where it says, until he comes. Often referred to Shiloh, it's the same thing. It's not an age, it's a person. And then it describes exactly how that person will be. He'll wear red, and he'll have bloodshot eyes sometimes because he'll be inebriated. And those are the blessings of Jacob, the first Israel, upon the house of Joseph in the same chapter, just a few paragraphs later. So I will let you all read them and decide on your own. Okay, I wasn't going to do this, but this is probably a pretty good time. I promised you guys I would tell you what I was going to rename the tribe of Joseph as. The thing is, it doesn't really exist right now, because between the end of Genesis and after Solomon, the tribe of Joseph split up into the tribes of Manasseh and Ephraim. Why? Because Manasseh and Ephraim were Joseph's two oldest sons, and the only two sons that also got blessings from Jacob. So they were the only grandsons that got blessings from Jacob. That's chapter 48 in Genesis. So my job, or one of my jobs, isn't just to gather up all the tribes of Israel, Jacob. It's actually to gather up all exiles. But in this case, just for the tribes that we're talking about, there's actually 13 tribes right now, not 12, if they all exist in some way. But when I gather them all up, I'm going to recombine the tribes of Manasseh and Ephraim back into the tribe of Joseph. And then finally, I'm going to rename the tribe of Joseph as the tribe of Ramel. And I'll tell you why right now. One of Jacob's wives was named Raquel. The other one was Leah. They're sisters, and Raquel was really like the love of his life. But Raquel was one of those women, it's pretty obvious from reading the Bible, that she either had a really hard time getting pregnant, or she had a lot of miscarriages, or any combination of that. So while her sister Leah had 4 or 5 kids before she even had her first, eventually she became pregnant with her first son, whom she named Joseph. Now, while she was really happy to finally have a child and everything, what Joseph really means is, may he add. It's not like may he be good at math or anything. It's like Raquel asked God, may he multiply, may I have another son, or even more. And that's what Joseph's name means, may he add, may he multiply. Now, eventually Raquel did have another son, but unfortunately she died in childbirth having that son. So as she was dying, she named him Ben-Ani, which means son of my suffering. But when Jacob found out that Raquel had died and heard what she had named Ben-Ani, she changed his name to Benjamin, which means son of my right hand. Which is why sometimes, while I will refer to the tribe of Benjamin as the tribe of Benjamin because it's less confusing, when I'm actually talking about the man, most times I will try to call him Ben-Ani out of respect for Raquel. I mean, she's the one that gave her life to give him life. So I would rather call him by the name that she gave him, not the one that Jacob gave him. All right, so you might be confused. You're like, so what does that have to do with the name Ramel? Well, here's what it means. Raquel means the sheep of God, or the female sheep of God. That's what it means. Sometimes they say it means female sheep, but the L itself is kind of like Michael in my name, or Gabriel, or anything. It's attachment to God. So Raquel means female sheep of God. So what she should have named Joseph was Ramel, because Ramel means male sheep of God. Yes, Ram has not changed in 4,000 years. It's pronounced the same in ancient Hebrew as it is in modern English. Kind of a quinky dink, huh? All right, like I said, it was going to be an eclectic video, and that last part was, like I said, I was just trying to keep a promise because I remember mentioning it before. I think I posted it as a comment on one of my videos that I was going to rename the tribe of Joseph. So, all right, signing off. As always, rule number 1, do not touch each other without another person's consent, aka do not hurt each other. And rule number 2, it's all about honesty. Lies are a tick down. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.